I hate to say this, but there's been a big problem with people in Britain that are using British flags. This is the new form of alt-right extremism in Britain. Yeah. Oh, jeez. Oh, man. How could they? I don't know. You see that? Yeah, it's their own flag. Man. The base fight back? Well, they're having a big anti-migration, anti-immigration, like, protest kind of soon. You can see a lot of people doing this. They do this every year. I mean, I feel like this one's definitely a lot bigger, right? Man. You're like, gentlemen, crusades are back? I mean, I think it's radicalized a lot of people. Right? I mean, it's...
There you go, flags everywhere. All the way down the North Strand.
Man.
Well done, boys and girls.
That's a whole lot.
You see 20 or 30 within 100 meters.
That's a whole lot of flags.
Irish lives matter.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they gotta do something. Well, it's pretty obvious that they're trying to do something. I mean, like, you can clearly see that. I mean, it makes sense. I mean, if I was them, I definitely would. So there's apparently like a very, very big protest that's being planned. September 13th.
Well, this isn't exactly the kind of video I thought I'd be making on a Sunday morning, and just for the purposes of any police officers or MI5 agents who are watching this video, I do not support any kind of coup action in the UK. So why then am I talking about it? Well, I'm talking about it because of a post made by Ant Middleton, a former Special Forces soldier and all-round celebrity. And here's what Ant had to say. On the 13th of September, I will ask for something of the British public, British patriots.
This is some fucking V for Vendetta shit. Oh my God.
That I would never ask of if I weren't willing to lead the charge. If certain individuals can ask for our throats to be with zero accountability or repercussion, then that allows us free rein to defend ourselves in such a manner that will rattle foreign hostiles and our government to the very core. Choose a side, because this is ultimately what it has come down to. See you on the 13th of September and prepare your shields.
That is nuts. I wonder how many people are going to show up to this. Somebody earlier today said that they're shutting down all public transportation and public transit in anticipation for this event.
Wow, that is quite the post. And we're going to dig into all of it. But right from the outset, you can tell that there are people now working in the Metropolitan Police looking at that and thinking, oh God. Okay, let's dig into this. Ant talks about September.
I mean, look, if I was a police officer, I would be like, oh God, too. I'd be like, oh fuck, I got to deal with more shit. Yeah, this day's obviously going to be chaos for them.
13th. Now, why does he pick that day? Well, many of you will know that Tommy Robinson has organised a protest on the 13th of September in central London. And these protests are by far the biggest that we see in the country.
Man.
Usually around 250,000 people go to them, but
that's a lot.
Given the current mood, I wouldn't be surprised to see that at 500,000. And guess who's been asked to speak? Yeah, Ant Middleton. Ant Middleton will be taking to the stage on that day in front of potentially 500,000 people.
Wow.
In fact, let me just find some footage from one of the past protests so you can see how big these really are.
Yeah, I don't know. Holy shit. God damn. It's the 10th in France? Yeah, y'all are really popping off over there, huh?
Look, I've been to a few of Tommy Robinson's protests in the past, and it is by far the largest single gathering of patriotic British people that you will find in one spot.
Yeah, I could expect that.
And that one spot, by the way, is usually Parliament Square, right next to the Houses of Parliament. So I'm not saying for certain that Ant Middleton is trying to launch a political revolution on the 13th of September. But what I can say for sure is that if you wanted to do so, then that is exactly the right time and place to do it.
Yep.
You've got all of the right people in exactly the right place.
I don't think that they have enough of the public on their side yet. I know that there's a lot of people in Britain that might disagree with me on this, but I think that a lot of people are victims to their own echo chambers. I try to do my best to spend time researching and following and looking at opinions that are different than mine to see like kind of what the consensus of certain issues are. I think that this is still a contentious enough issue that it's gonna need to get worse before it gets better. I do. I think they're getting there. They're definitely getting there, but it's gonna have to get a bit worse.
I will be there on the 13th of September, and I should stress that I'm not there to launch a political revolution or anything like that.
And by the way, this is my opinion. I'm a foreigner. I've never been to Britain. This is just like my vibe check from what I've seen on the internet and how I've seen, footage. That's all.
Going to get involved. Hopefully I can meet some of you there. That'd be fantastic. But yeah, please do come along. Maybe we'll be witnessing history. Maybe we'll just have a good time.
Sure.
Who knows? Now, I'd planned in this video to talk all about how Tommy Robinson probably wouldn't allow some kind of revolution to start at one of his rallies. And the reason is relatively simple. I've been to a bunch of them in the past, and they are run like clockwork. Everything is peaceful. Everything is coordinated with the police. There's usually very...
The revolution would be a mistake. They just need to form a political party and then consolidate power around that party. That's what they really need to do. Like, you can't do it violently. I mean, a lot of these people don't have guns. You're going to instantly get crushed by the military. And then the people that are in charge are going to get arrested. Like, it's going to be over, right? I mean, like, and again, I'm being pragmatic here. Like, nothing's really going to happen if you do that. So, a foundation for a party? Yeah, that's what they really need to do. They need to make a new party. It's like, I mean, because in my opinion, this is like, we kind of had this happen in America. The MAGA Trump Republican Party is, in my opinion, a different Republican Party than what Mitt Romney ran as a Republican on in like 2012, or what John McCain ran as a Republican on in 2008. Like, it is a fundamentally different platform. It's different. Yeah, like he effectively remade the Republican Party. He did. Can you explain the difference? Yeah, there's less of a focus on religion, less of a focus on sexual orientation, as long as it's not being pushed on other people. Like, there's no longer the anti-gay sentiment as much as there used to be. There's less of a focus on the social conditioning of, on making weed illegal. I mean, I think those are three of them that I would come with right there. And then I think also there's more... Like, I would say there is more uncertainty with big business than there used to be. And that's my vibe. Like, I'm not, again, like, I don't have, like, a fucking statistic to prove this. But it seems like the newer Republican Party, very, very anti-war. Basically, America first, more distrustful of corporations. I think that's kind of the changes that have happened. And so I feel like that, if Britain really wants to have a chance at making a difference with this, that's kind of the direction I think they need to be going in, personally.
Few or even no arrests. All of the litter is collected at the end and disposed of. In fact, I would go as far as to say that your average migrant hotel protest with 2,000 people in attendance is more likely to turn sour than a Tommy Robinson organised protest with 200,000 people in attendance.
That's probably true, because it's harder for bad actors to gain traction in a big community like that and in a big area like that. Yeah, because it's easier for like a bad actor to like turn a small group of people, but when everybody's there consolidated against a certain cause, it's probably harder to do that. That's logical. That's the difference. But then I saw a tweet this morning that Tommy had put out.
Uh-oh. There needs to be a revolution. It's as simple as that.
Oh.
Oh, Tommy.
Oh.
Now, let me just be clear. In a few recent podcasts, Tommy has spoken about the need for some kind of revolution. But he's always maintained that he means a peaceful political revolution, not a violent revolution, right? Or a coup d'etat, as it were. So is that what Ant Middleton is getting at? Is he saying, I'm joining the Advance Party, or I'm starting my own political party? After all, he does say, now is the time to choose a side, right? So
Yeah.
maybe that's what he's getting at. But let me just remind you of some of the other language he used, and you can decide for yourself whether that sounds like joining a political
What
party.
does it sound?
If certain individuals can ask for our throats to be with zero accountability or repercussions, then that allows us free rein to defend ourselves in such a manner that will rattle.
This is absolutely language that implies the reserving the right to use force. Preparing your shields, free rein to defend ourselves. I mean, this is absolutely like active political language that's like, yo, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Like violence, yeah, potentially, right?
Hostiles,
really,
and our government.
Yeah, I would say like this is just an objective truth. Like I'm not making a judgment on this. I'm just saying that I think that's what it means.
Core. Choose a side, because this is ultimately what it has come down to, and prepare your shield.
Right.
Look, let's be honest, okay, that's fighting talk. That doesn't sound like join my political party. When he's talking about, you know, we have free rein to defend ourselves however we see fit. That's not political speech as I would traditionally imagine.
That's pretty extreme, I would say.
So sure, maybe that is one option, and that's definitely like the
comparison was them slitting their throats. Yeah, exactly. Like, I mean, this is very clearly violent language, or it implies the threat of violence.
Most politically acceptable option that Ant could be referring to, but it just doesn't quite match up with the language, does it? Yeah. Let's be honest. Another fairly innocent explanation that I just thought of is maybe he's referring to some kind of extreme neighborhood watch, right? And we've actually seen this start taking place in certain areas in the country, especially in Northern Ireland. I was watching Freedom Dad the other day, and he was following some
Huge mistake, by the way. Vigilante forces are always problems, and they will create the same problems that the migrant gangs will, given a long enough timeline. Because people that want to enforce their will on other people will be drawn to organizations like that. It's unfortunate, but there it is.
Irish guys around at like midnight, and they were basically patrolling the streets, ostensibly to keep women and children safe. So that's really interesting. And sure, I guess that kind of fits with the language. So yeah. That's one possibility. Or, and let's just be honest here, this is what we're all thinking.
It's neighborhood watch. I'm just telling you what I think is going to happen. If you have a neighborhood watch like that, I think that's what the outcome's going to be. Like, I don't know. I feel like, yeah, that's what I think.
Maybe he's talking about storming the Houses of Parliament. I mean, after all, you've got hundreds of thousands of angry, patriotic Brits stood right in front of you. You're on stage, you've got a microphone, you can all see the Houses of Parliament. They're right there, right next to you. You're in Parliament Square.
About 1776? Why do people keep saying that over and over? You realize if we had lost that war, we'd be considered terrorists. You know that, right? Like, they'd say George Washington was a traitor and a terrorist, and it would have hung all of them. Like, I mean,
if he says, right, lads, follow me, we're going in that direction, and thousands of people start following Ant, then, yeah, I'm pretty sure you could just walk into the Houses of Parliament. The police aren't, I mean, what can they do? They're going to be massively outnumbered. Are they just going to start sporadically firing into crowds of thousands of people?
Unlikely.
I don't think so, because that's kind of like, well, then you just get like an English Bloody Sunday. I don't think they would do that, and I don't think the order would be given for them to do that. And even if it was, I don't think they would follow that order. So yeah, I'm pretty sure you could just walk en masse straight into the Houses of Parliament and very little would be done about it. But then you've got a whole other question, right? What do you do once you're in there?
People are going to get nervous and scared whenever they see a huge mob of people taking over a government building. The same thing happened with January 6th here in the U.S. That was definitely an L day. It's going to scare people. It's going to freak people out. Now, I don't think doing something like that is a good idea. It wasn't a good idea when we did it. I don't think it turned out well at all.
To have some kind of sit-down protest? Well, sure, okay, but then eventually you are all just going to get rounded up and arrested. The police will just pick you off one at a time. Or are you actually trying to like take control of the country? Are you going to try and depose the king?
That's what they need to do.
Are you going to try and seize control of the army? Because whoever controls the army realistically controls the country.
Yes.
And in all fairness, if anyone's going to have any chance of seizing control of the army, it probably is a former special forces guy, right? Because
that's correct. Yes. If they want to get the power back, if they're not going to do it democratically, they have to do it through the military. If you control the military, you control the country. Just like what he said. It's true. Everybody knows it. Yep.
What he's done, he can command the respect of the average everyday soldier. Now look, all of these ideas,
dictatorship?
even me hearing myself speak them out loud, are completely insane. Batshit crazy, right? You know that and I know that. And yet you're still here listening to me and you're probably thinking, yeah, that's plausible. That's how bad Britain has become.
Jesus.
Now we are now in the situation where we're talking about like a coup d'etat, the kind of thing you only see in like South American failed states, but we're talking about it in Britain. And we're not going, look, that's ridiculous. Maybe some of you are, maybe some of you are already switched off and you're like, yeah, this guy's an idiot. Totally fine. But for those who are still listening,
I think that there's a lot of people that have been radicalized, and I think that they're ready for this type of of like, I don't know, like revolt is it the right word? But like they are ready for a tremendous change.
thing like, yeah, that could.
And I think also, by the way, the number of people that feel this way gets larger every single year. Like in 3 years, if nothing happens, it will be worse than it is today. In 1 year, if nothing happens, it will be worse than it is today.
Happen. I could see that taking place. I could see people going along with that. That's a really bad sign, because that means that Britain has fallen all the way down to those South American countries that have had exactly this happen to them. Scary, scary thought. Look, I'm sure that Ant Middleton isn't planning anything that extreme. But the fact that we can even discuss it and that it's actually technically plausible and possible is really, really telling. Here's a bit of interesting British history for you. It wouldn't be the first time that a member of the British Special Forces has planned to overthrow the government. Because back in the 1970s, David Sterling, the founder of the SAS and frankly, all modern special forces, planned to do exactly this.
Did he get it?
David Sterling didn't get very far in his plans or his attempts, but the mood of the country is very, very different today. We see protests up and down the country.
He didn't do a whole lot, right?
Sometimes 20 on a single day. And right now there is a campaign to raise the colours, which is basically putting the English flag everywhere, even in places like Tower Hamlets where there are basically no English people left. Take a look at this.
Ethnic makeup of Tower Hamlets by single year ages. I see. Okay, I get it. Sure.
Look, the mood in Britain is absolutely febrile, especially amongst the English people. And we're just sick of our government. And I'm not talking about one specific government. I'm not talking about Keir Starmer's Labour government. I'm talking about successive governments since at least 1997 when Tony Blair took power, but you could argue even further back than that. We've had all of this anti-democratic stuff just rammed onto us. I
think that's the problem, is that a lot of these people feel like they're not being represented in the government whenever they are anti-migration. And not only are they not being represented in the government, but their speech, even discussing their lack of representation, is being criminalized. And I think that it's been happening for long enough, and the issue has gotten so extreme that it's radicalized enough people to maybe actually make an impact. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but it sure seems like it's going in that direction.
Mass migration, which people have consistently voted against. Well, it was forced onto us, right?
This is, it's important to know this isn't specific to white British people. I have British-born Indian, Romanian, and Moldovan families in the street. They always feel the same way about illegal immigration. I think that it's both. And I think that to say that there is not a racial and a heritage component to this, I think that it's wishful thinking, maybe. but I don't think that it's accurate. I think that the truth is that there is a racial component to this, whether you want to admit it or not. But you're right that the primary component is people coming here that are not observing the laws and causing problems. Like that is the greater evil in at least even in the minds of the people that are the racially motivated ones.
Joining the ECHR, nobody wanted that. Okay, the creation of the Supreme Court, a court which can effectively overrule what Parliament decides.
It's like 8 different things.
That's crazy.
Yeah, you're right.
Why are we doing this? We've basically created these quangos, these quasi-autonomous non-government organizations that can limit what Parliament does. That's crazy. That's why the Rwanda scheme, for example.
Well, they've created these apparatuses so they could diffuse people's power to vote. That's the reason why. They don't want people to be able to push back against any of these different initiatives. So they create different ways that they can filter out and diffuse people's voting and make it not matter.
I don't think was a good scheme, but that's why the Rwanda scheme could never get off the ground, because of all of these other organizations that were getting involved. Madness, absolute madness. We've stripped our own democracy away from us. Bonkers. So I don't think these political elites really understand the level of anger that exists in this country. And for those people, the Jacob Rees-Moggs of the world, okay?
I think that's another big thing. He's right about that too, is that there's a lot of people that don't understand the amount of disenfranchised and disaffected people there are that are unhappy about the way things are. But I think that conversely, there's also a huge amount of people that like the way things are, and they think that it's virtuous to bring in all of the migrants. I think that like both of these things are true at the same time. Like it's probably, I don't know which side is bigger, but I bet it's probably about 30% on both sides that feel very strongly about this.
I would strongly recommend you go and read some of the replies to Ant's original post. I'm not going to go through all of them, but the gist of it for a lot of people is this: I'll be there, I'll help you out, let's do this. And that's how people feel in this country, right? Yeah. Regardless of what Ant's original intention was with that post, and I really don't know, a lot of people are interpreting it as him saying, right, we're going to do a coup. Yeah. And not only are they interpreting him saying it as that, they're then replying and going, yeah, sure, I volunteer, let's get this done. That's crazy. Damn. The fact that that is the mood of a lot of people in this country is crazy. Anyway, look, I am genuinely, more than most videos, really curious to hear what you guys think. Maybe you think I'm making a big deal out of absolutely nothing. It's just one post. Fine. You could be absolutely correct. Let me know that in the comments. Change my mind. Sure. Maybe you think that I'm right. Maybe you just don't have a clue what's going on. Maybe you just want to say, hey, I'll see you there on September 13th. Sorry. The dog just found a tennis ball, which is great fun. She's very happy. How do you find a tennis ball there? This is like the third tennis ball we found in these fields in the last couple of days. So someone keeps losing them and Annie keeps finding them. She's very, very happy. And she loves playing fetch. Sorry, I got a little bit sidetracked. Look, if you haven't, please do leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Maybe it's going to get the crowd to say something controversial. Yeah. I think that testing free speech laws is definitely something that a lot of British people probably are feeling, especially now as like the Online Safety Act and other types of internet identification laws are coming out. I think that it's making people like it's making people more aware of the fact that their speech is being policed. And I think that now you're going to have a bigger pushback. These people are less than 10%. There'll be no coup. I don't think there's going to be a coup either, but to counter your point, what was the percentage of actual Nazis whenever they took over the government in Russia, not Russia, Germany? My understanding was 8 to 12%. Is that accurate? If 30%? You only need 10%? I don't know about that. Vote-wise, 30%? I think that whenever they started, it was even lower than that. I hopefully will see you in a future video. If you promise to subscribe, I'll show you Annie catching the ball, maybe. Okay. Either way. Yeah. All I'm saying is you don't need a formal majority to make a big change. Maybe 10% is too low, and I think that you could be right. But it also depends on how dedicated and how motivated that 10% is. Wait. Yep, there you go. And so anyway,
I will definitely be watching this when it happens. I'll certainly tell you that. I've watched a lot of Landar's videos, and he pretty much is the only person, it seems like he's the only person covering this. And I gotta say, I mean, huge respect for him talking about this, because the fact is that I'm surprised that he even made this video, because I would be worried that if you even talked about this issue, you would get in trouble. Like, you might even get in trouble saying this is even there. That's it. Yeah, him and Sargon. Yeah, exactly, right? I mean, it's scary to even talk about it at all. Play the dog.
Wait.
Okay.
Wait.
Damn.
Good girl. Good
Damn,
girl.
it can do that?
Hey,
I never
dog.
had a dog before.
Or what's going on?
Yeah, I had no idea. What the fuck? Damn, unless the government, yeah.